So maybe I will start with a brief introduction of WIPPA. A lot of people know, but yes, we are a 46-member organization. You name anyone who is an IPP in the wind industry, they are our members. And you would see the growth in the wind sector very much related to the growth in the members of WIPPA. I was just checking with the team. Almost every month we are having one member addition. In the last 2 years, we have 22 members who have been added in WIPPA. And that's the scenario overall in the wind in India. So wind incremental capacity addition over the last 3 years have tripled. And so are our members. But without spending much time on the WIPPA and the members list, we are gathered here more to discuss the key issues. So largely, if we see what wind is doing, is we are largely replacing storage in the country. That is what I want to show you in one of the slides. If you see a recent bid, which was conducted by SECI, the tariff for a solar cum storage came out to be around 8.5 rupees. If we nowadays, somebody might be observing, in the peaks solar time in the midday, the merchant tariff of solar has dropped to 30 to 40 paisa. It is the wind which is really going to generate in the period where power is really required, which is the evening peak or maybe the early morning hours. At that time, solar plus storage needs to be compared with the wind. And that number is 8.5, while wind is hardly there at 4 rupees or sub 4 rupees. So that's the importance of wind industry if we look at the overall perspective. And that's the reason why the ratio of wind in the overall capacity, overall energy mix in India is going to grow from 4.8%, which is today, to almost 8.4%, which is in FY30. And just to remind you guys, our annual target was to reach 110 gigawatt of onshore wind by FY30 and another 30 gigawatt of offshore, overall number being 140 gigawatt. Yeah. So in FY30, the thing in the green bar is what which shows the wind, and the violet is what it shows as a storage. So as I was mentioning, in the evening hours, it's largely wind, which is reducing the influx of storage. If wind would not have been there, we would have ended up having storage, which on a standalone basis is costing more than 11-12 rupees. Moving on to Karnataka, so we know that Karnataka currently, in terms of incremental capacity addition, is almost at the rank 3. So we have Gujarat sitting on the top, and then the Tamil Nadu, and third comes the Karnataka. It's around having 6.7 gigawatt of installed capacity. But what is really good to see is that if you see the incremental capacity addition over the last 2-3 years, last year the number was somewhere around 760 megawatts, which was double of what it was in FY23. And we see this number really growing to as aggressive as 3 to 4 gigawatts. On a broader basis, if India has to reach 210 gigawatt of wind by FY30, we need 10 gigawatts every year. And it would not be a surprise if Karnataka contributes almost 30% of that. And I will tell you the background on the same. So look at the entire Karnataka map. It has so huge a potential. From district to district, if we start mapping, we have hardly used 6.5% of the entire potential of wind in Karnataka. And that too at a very conservative number at 120 meter hub height when we have seen that. These are the number of applications at CTU level which has already been granted. As Purnindu was mentioning, almost 34 to 35 gigawatt of connectivities have been applied for at the CTU level in Karnataka. Out of that, 27 gigawatt is already being granted. Based on our thumb rule, Tumkur area may be more suitable for solar, 5-6 gigawatt might come there. In other belts, there may be some wind, but out of this 27 gigawatt, minimum 20 gigawatt plus is wind, out of this 27 gigawatt of connectivity which has already been granted. So this amounts to almost 1.7 lakh crores of investment in the state only from the wind. But the most important thing which we want to point out here is the land requirement. This requires huge land. We are talking about 1.25 lakh acres of land, and this is the area where we are really need the Revenue Secretary, the ECS, the entire government machinery of Karnataka to have focus on. So I have a couple of slides on land-related issues, and as I said, we will also repeat the same presentation to the Revenue Secretary. As WIPPA, we took help of Trilegal, we took help of comments received from all our members to really list down these points. The first and the foremost is the NA process. If you talk about any renewables rich state in India, whether it is Maharashtra, whether it is Rajasthan, everybody has declared deemed NA. So deemed NA may be there in the RE policy of Karnataka, but the way it is implemented, it is taking 18 to 20 months to get an NA. The reason being that the demand note which the Deputy Commissioner releases, the DC releases, that requires at least NOCs from multiple departments before the demand note comes. Process is not that after the demand note, if you pay, then within the 30 days, as per the law, you will get the NA. The problem is the process followed before issuing the demand note. And that is which is very painful. So what our suggestion here is that the whole process of demand note should be made online. That's the way it is done in most of the other states. There is a uniform rate which is publicized. We just read based on our land category, how much NA fee we have to pay. We pay it on the Kaveri portal. And if the payment is less or more, within 30 days, DC can tell us that this is the error that you have made. Otherwise, in a prescribed process, 30 days, whatever timeline, the NA should come to us. If this is not being implemented, I'm telling you this whole vision of having 4-5 gigawatts every year and 27 gigawatts, which we want really in the next 4-5 years, will not really happen. The second problem that Karnataka faces is the ceiling limit. This is something which is very common across the states, that if you are an industrial category, then you deemed the ceiling limit is waived off. You look at the industrial policy of Rajasthan, you looked at the industrial policy of Maharashtra, MP, nowhere there is a ceiling limit on acquiring land for the renewable industry. This is the only state where still we are following the same. So obviously the process is long, and we have to go to section 109 of Karnataka Reform Acts, get the ceiling limit approval, and that is one of the reasons why many of us are moving towards leasing of land. Though leasing of land has some other advantages, but this ceiling limit of 109 is forcing people not to buy land but going more and more on leasing, though even the farmer may also like to sell land in certain cases. And the third point is the leasing route. Even the leasing route is not easy in the state of Karnataka. In fact, one section of the KLRA, section 5, says that we can't do a direct acquisition of land through leasing for an agriculture land. So for this, we have to spend almost 6-7 million or maybe more, almost a year plus, to first convert the agriculture land into NA and then really execute the leasing agreement. We survive in this period on the basis of agreement to lease. So this again is an unnecessary step. One section has to be amended, which is the section 5 of the KLRA Act. That will really facilitate the signing of lease agreements. And so are the multiple points. I will not go into each one of them, but something like Gram Panchayat NOC. So our request to CRIDL is, when we get a GO, it is clearly mentioned in which all villages we are going to set up our plant. Why don't, along with that, we also get a Gram Panchayat NOC? or the CRIDL become the nodal point to give us the Gram Panchayat NOC. If we start dealing at each and every village level, it is becoming a Herculean task to get a Gram Panchayat NOC. Similarly, we all know that when we go for a legal due diligence, something which is very basic is the family tree. So there is a process in Karnataka where within 14 days the family tree should be issued by the Tehsildar, but it is not being followed at all. It is taking lot more than 14 days, and this is one of the points, though smaller but very important. It's really taking a long to complete a legal due diligence. And similarly, a lot of records which are typically maintained in many states in the public domain are not there. The records of restricted land, we don't see it's being maintained here. Similarly, the partition records, once you do a land partition, it is not updated on the Kaveri portal. So these are one bucket, and we have a detailed note which we will be presenting to the government authorities on our inputs on the land related issues. The second category of issues that we have is the geo related. We all know that none of us really want to interface in the development of our neighboring wind farm. We need clear laws which says that this is the way our lands have been protected. Once we protect a location within the 5D, 7D distances, no other turbine should fall. And that is where the CRIDL's role is very important. So they have been doing it very diligently, but just two suggestions here. Suggestion one is that normally when we come to know that somebody is acquiring land or somebody is about to get geo, only when the final geo is issued. After that, CRIDL uploads it on its website, and then we know that yes, we should not really look at this area, it's already been blocked by someone else. What we have requested earlier also, and we will repeat the same here, that even in the process, once the CRIDL recommends to Government of Karnataka, at that time itself, the information should be there available on the website that yes, this is under process, and we should not really wait for the final geo. We should start looking for areas somewhere else. This will lead to lesser conflict between the people. So the whole process of getting the geo right from the stage when CRIDL recommends to MOP should be made public so that interference between different IPPs are less. The second thing is CRIDL behaves in a way where there is a very strong solar department, there is a very strong wind department. Both the department looks at interface between different applications being submitted to CRIDL. But sometimes, as there is so much of solar and wind coming, there may be a cross-functional interface. There may be a solar plant coming up within the wind area. So a lot of effort is required that CRIDL works unanimously between two departments and make sure that there is no interface between solar and wind. And similarly, we as WIPPA has also promised to CRIDL that we will suggest a process whereby the interface between the geos is the least. So we are working on it, and very soon we will do the same. The third category, and many of us might have been talking about the recent Karnataka order on open access, but this is one of the main businesses where the renewable industry has started growing from, and this is the open access business in the state of Karnataka. I would not be surprised if every year more than 700 megawatt plus of new capacity addition is coming from this mechanism, which is open access. We have only 3 points here. One is that the transmission charges which are levied for open access, right now it is in per megawatt basis. And as our supply is in terms of unit, our request is to have it on a per kilowatt hour basis. Similarly, the wheeling and banking tenure, we get protection only for 10 years, while the useful life is of 25 years. So this is also have been our long-standing demand that if we can make the banking agreement slightly more flexible. And recently KRC has come out with a draft order on how they will check the captive compliance. And there we have some comments. Already it has been submitted on the normal route as a KRC follows, and hopefully it will be heeded too. And the last category of comments we have is more what we need at the district level. So we know that whatever suggestions we are giving on land may take its own time to get implemented. Right now, execution is at its peak, and a lot of things can be resolved at the district level. So some of the issues which has come from different members, one is that availability of certain revenue records, issues related to NA conversion of switchyard, issues related to temporary NA for storage yard, issues related to stamp duty calculations, issues related to fast tracking of NA application. So if there could be a monthly level meetings at the district level where all these issues can be fast tracked, at the end of the day we are talking about a 1.3 lakh crore investment in wind sector, and it has to be facilitated at all the levels, not only by the ACS Energy but also at the district levels also. So this will be very helpful. So just to summarize, we are largely talking about these 4 or 5 points. The first and the foremost is the land. And everybody will agree here, in the ratio of potential in the state of Karnataka, in the ratio of interest shown by the IPPs in the state of Karnataka, we will not be able to meet our targets if these land-related issues are not resolved. Long NA process, ceiling limit, leasing of the land being not permitted for the agricultural land, these are very basic things. Unless and until these are resolved, it will be very difficult to acquire such a large pieces of land in renewables. The second point, which I haven't touched in the presentation, but just a brief thing, we really believe that the demand in Karnataka is growing, and we haven't seen much tendering, much power procurement from the state of Karnataka. So we would request if that also starts, that will help in the growth of the sector. The third being open access. As an industry, we have been always saying we are absolutely fine paying cross-subsidy surcharge or whatever transmission charges so that it compensates for any loss that distribution licensees are making on account of losing the creamy layer of customers. But there is a requirement for a lot of IT companies, a lot of data center companies to avail RE power, and as a state it should promote it. It is in line with the Electricity Act. And then the geo-related issues which we just discussed, just need more information in the open domain so that people really don't fight among each other. There are sufficient areas, sufficient land, and if the process is followed, we all will not really disturb each other and will lead to the growth of the sector. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Yeah.